And welcome, everybody, to episode 69 of the Paws Up podcast. And as we continue with the ongoing football coverage that Kevin and I have been doing, we haven't done many episodes of the podcast in a while, so it's nice to get back on track for that. And today we have a very awesome guest from the world of FIU women's soccer, their premier defender, Reagan Bridges. Reagan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
All righty, let's get right into this discussion, Reagan. Obviously, FIU women's soccer has had some good and some bad to start the season. However, they're heading back home this upcoming Saturday, so lot to be excited for so far for the women's soccer team. But I want to talk to you about your time getting to Florida. Of course, being a native from the state of Colorado, I want to know when you first started playing soccer growing up and when you first began to take it seriously.
Yeah, for sure. So I started playing soccer from a very young age. I started when I was about 3. So I don't even know if it counted as soccer at that point. It was when little
Okay.
kids would clump around and just chase the ball. But towards the end of middle school, I would say, is when I made that shift from just playing for a local club team to a team that travels and plays teams throughout the country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started to realize, like, oh, this is something that I could continue to take past high school, past when most people would stop playing. Because when I was younger, I just played soccer because I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started playing in those games across the country, playing with players who were committing to colleges, it kind of became something that I was like, oh, wait, I can do this and I do want to pursue this. And that's where I ended up. That's how I ended up at FIU.
So when you were in, and correct me if I get this wrong, Arapahoe High School in
Yes.
Colorado? Nice. When you were there, what bit of advice and lessons did you learn from coaches, teammates, or someone else back in the day that you still sort of fall back on every now and then during your time here as an FIU Panther?
That's a good question. I would say with my time at Arapahoe, so I had my club team that I played with that wasn't affiliated with my high school, and then I also
Yeah.
had my high school soccer team that I played for. And so for my high school soccer team and my club soccer team, I played different positions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for my high school soccer team, I played outside back. Then my club team, I played center back, and I was always better at center back, but I enjoyed outside back more. But a piece of advice that one of my coaches gave me that really helped was just not getting too stuck into wanting to play one singular position or not spending all my time focusing on just one singular position, but instead just trying to become the most versatile and well-rounded player I could be. And then when I got to FIU, I would say that became really applicable because with our coach here, Coach Garber, he loves putting players all over the field. You can come in as an attacking midfielder and he'll put you at outside back. So I think having that advice and telling me to just focus on becoming a well-rounded player as opposed to just becoming a good center back or a good outside back really helped me.
Yeah, during your time in Colorado, you were a member of the Colorado Rapids Youth Program, and you were able to build a pretty strong resume there. Just talk to us about your time there, just what you take away, and how has that kind of helped you at FIU as well that time?
Yeah, definitely. So my time at the Colorado Rapids Youth Academy, I was there for a few years. One of our years, we were very, very successful. We ended up going into the ECNL National Playoffs as the number 1 seed in the country, which was a pretty cool experience. I would say something that really helped me in that experience was just being surrounded by really high-level players. In youth club soccer, you're separated by birth year. So I
Mm-hmm.
was on the O2 team, but I'm in the younger half of O2s. I was born in October, so a lot of the players I was playing with were a grade older than me. So a lot of them were committing to colleges or looking at colleges a bit earlier than I was because I wasn't able to yet. But being surrounded by a bunch of those players that were playing at a high level, that were getting looked at by high-level schools that had really high aspirations, I think really fueled my own aspirations. Like, I'm on a team with players that are committing to Power 5 schools, or we're playing in games where we have 40-plus college coaches on the sidelines. So I think that really helped, I guess, fuel my own confidence in myself, just being able to be surrounded by such high-level players and being at such a high level youth academy as Colorado Rapids was.
Talk to us a little bit about your recruiting process and just how you ended up coming to FIU. What other offers maybe did you have at the time, and what was the pitch that that FIU gave you to get over here and eventually say yes?
Yeah, so my recruiting process was a bit of an interesting one because I was one of the COVID kids. So when COVID hit, it was my junior year of high school, and so I ended up getting the news from a lot of programs like, hey, we're now able to offer our seniors an extra year of eligibility. We're going to keep our seniors. We don't have any money for you anymore. So my recruiting process was, I would say, pretty rocky. I wanted to hold out to wait for a school to commit where I knew I would also fit in well academically. And that kind of ended up coming back to bite me because I did lose a lot of my offers because of COVID. So FIU actually wasn't one of my original offers. But after COVID, after the NCAA dead period ended, I had actually heard about FIU from a coach at my youth club that had played on the men's team here. I don't know how long ago, a decent amount of time ago. Had filled me in on Coach Garber and what he was wanting to do with the program. So I got into contact with Coach Garber, and just the pitch that he gave me, I guess that really separated FIU from some of the other schools I was looking at was just, this isn't going to be an easy process. Was going to be coming into a program where we were going to have to be doing a lot of rebuilding and pretty much starting from square one. My freshman year, FIU was not ranked super high. It was a very different program. So he wanted to come in and make big changes, get this program to be a very competitive D1 program. And for me, that's what really sold it. Was it's not going to be easy, but I could be a part of building something really special here at FIU. And I feel like so far we've been on that track.
All right, so talk a bit about that culture shock that I know you had to feel when you made the move from Colorado to Miami, Florida. No more snow. It's 98 degrees outside. The food, the elevation, the culture, everything's different here from there. Yeah. How did you first react to it, and what struck out to you the most?
I remember when I first visited FIU before I had committed, I just everywhere I saw palm trees, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is the prettiest place I've ever been. Like I just saw a palm tree and thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then when I actually moved to FIU, when I started out in preseason, I remember telling my friends, my family back home, like, I just feel like I'm in a completely different country right now. Like Miami just feels like its own country. Because Colorado, yeah, you get the snow. I was skiing in my free time, no humidity there. So my hair, my skin loved the humidity here. That was a great culture shock. But
yeah, go ahead. My bad.
I was just gonna say you really can't get more different from Colorado to Miami, but it was a cool change for me.
Well, we have a lot of Colorado guys with in football. We have the Beer brothers that were over there from football. So definitely a lot of Colorado natives that decided to end up coming to FIU. But just looking at your first year at Reagan in 2021, you saw a lot of time on the field as a freshman, 15 starts, second on the team in minutes. Did you have a feeling you'd be playing a lot? You mentioned that you guys were starting in square one with FIU women's soccer. Did you have a feeling maybe you would be playing a lot of minutes? And just talk to us about that first year.
Honestly, coming in to FIU, I didn't really have many expectations for myself in terms of playing time. Of course, I wanted to be a part of the program and contribute in whatever way I could, but the common conception, I think, of college sports is when you're a freshman, you got to work your way up before you're seeing the field a lot. But my situation was pretty unique because I came in with Coach Garber, came in with a new group of players. So because he was wanting to make so many changes, he was willing to put freshmen on the field from the start to really, I guess, embody the style of play that we wanted to have. So throughout preseason, even, I wasn't initially in the starting lineup for the team. But by the time we got to our first game, I had ended up earning my spot in the starting lineup and then ended up having a very good performance that first game of my freshman year and just ended up solidifying my spot. But that definitely was not my expectation coming in. I just wanted to do what I could. Told my mom, if I get some minutes, I'll be happy. But it was a very I guess, cool surprise.
Yeah, for sure. And then just going into 2022, another big year for you, just moving forward. You get team MVP. Just another big year for the program. Moving in the right direction. Just talk to us about that year.
Yeah, so I think what really made a difference for me coming into that second year was the spring that we had following my freshman year. We really just spent that spring working on building out of the back, working on these little things that we wanted to add to our game. Because coming in the fall, preseason, you only have a couple weeks, so you can't really make any big changes stylistically. But that spring, we just spent day in, day out working on our style of play, working on what we call the little things or the non-negotiables. So then heading into that fall, I had a much clearer picture of what Garber wanted for us as a program in terms of playing style. I had a lot more confidence in myself as a player because I wasn't used to that building out of the back, center backs being on the ball as much as they were. My job was usually just put in big tackles and don't let people get past you. So having that spring to work on the offensive side of the ball as a center back, I think really set me up for that second fall. So I was able to have a lot more success on the ball and I think contribute to our playing style positively a lot more when we were in possession.
So last season, the 2023 season, you had a big achievement that year. You scored your first goal as a Panther against the Stetson Hatters. Take us back to that moment and what you remember the most about, finally getting your name on the scoreboard as a defender.
Oh, I was so excited I forgot to celebrate. I mean, even now when I score in practice or I had another goal that season, I just threw my hands up in the air and just started screaming. So I was so excited because I am one of the taller players on the team. For a while in our attacking set pieces, like corners, free kicks, usually I was a player that they wanted to aim the ball for because I could jump over some of the other team's taller girls. But my freshman year, my sophomore year, just wasn't able to get that goal, but I'd been practicing it so much, was doing it in practice. So I think that moment where I was finally able to get that first goal, it was just honestly years of work finally coming together. And it was so exciting. That was such an awesome moment.
Another big achievement for the team in 2023 was their first conference tournament appearance since 2011. I mean, obviously things didn't go FIU's way in the tournament itself, but what did it mean to you and the rest of the squad to break that drought, to be the ones to break that drought and take the program a step in the right direction?
Yeah, I think as a program, when we came in with Coach Garber, my class, he told us, like, it's going to take a while. It's going to be hard at first, but we can build this program into a championship program. We talked about different phases. So you start with rebuilding, then you start getting results, then you start competing, then you start getting to championships. And I think that moment where we as a team secured the qualification for the conference tournament, I think it kind of was a culmination of all the work we had been doing leading up to that. Like, we started out not getting many results that first year. That second year, my second year, we actually missed out on the conference tournament, I believe, by a point. So finally getting that qualification my third year, I think, for us as a program, that really just solidified like what we've been doing, all this work we've been putting in. It's finally coming to light, which was really exciting.
I forgot to ask this earlier, Reagan. How massive of an impact is that elevation difference between Denver and Miami when playing a physical sport like soccer? I believe in Denver, what is it? It's 5,280 miles above sea level. And here it's, I don't even know. It's you go from the highest point to the lowest point. How long did it take you to get used to it?
Honestly, the elevation difference coming here, I think it definitely helps me from a fitness standpoint, because when I go home and I do my summer running, then I come here, it's so much easier to breathe. But then also on the flip side of that, I am not used to the humidity at all. So back home, I have that elevation, which maybe makes it a little bit harder. But then you come here and it almost feels like you're underwater for a little while. So I would say the elevation definitely helps when it comes to training in it. But then coming here, I mean, I still have a hard time breathing. It's definitely an adjustment. I don't know if I'm used to it yet still.
All right, Kevin, is it time for a quick break?
Let's do it.
Alrighty then, let's take a quick break with Jake's News Break. Your look at all things FIU athletics and just FIU in general. Let's start with FIU football. Of course, you have the home opener at Pitbull Stadium this Saturday at 6 p.m. against Central Michigan. A few days ago, FIU announced the FIU fan fits for the season so that fans can best match their gear with what the teams will be rocking in all 6 home games. Starting with week 1, fans are asked to wear navy to the cage, then gold on homecoming, Biscayne blue on Heritage Night, Vice colors for Vice Night, obviously, navy once again for their throwback night, and of course your choice of colors for Senior Day. So keep that in mind when choosing your wardrobes for game day. Next up is baseball. I know Johnny's gonna like this one, specifically for alumni. Former players of the Panthers can RSVP for an FIU baseball alumni weekend from September 27th to the 29th over at the Biltmore Hotel in Coral Gables. It'll consist of 3 days of activities, including a happy hour on day 1, a golf outing on day 2, and a pool party on day 3. Those who are interested can sign up on FIUsports.com/BSB alum weekend. Finally, we have some general FIU news. FIU is among the top 3 public universities in the nation in Washington Monthly's annual College Guide and Rankings, which recognizes universities for both research excellence and their efforts to ensure the success of students of all backgrounds. FIU joins both Wisconsin and Cal in the top 3 and is the highest ranked university in the state of Florida. So that was your quick look at the FIU news break. Again, Reagan, thanks for spending some time with us today. Let's transition over to the current season for FIU women's soccer. So, Kevin, I think you have a question. Let's take it away.
Yeah, I need to ask you before we even talk about that. I think this was asked to most of the girls out when they did the media day. Just what was your initial reaction to hearing that Pitbull bought the naming rights and would be a part of FIU athletics? A pretty big part.
That it was a shock to me. I know Julie Berg had dropped a couple hints to us about, we have some worldwide news coming, and we were like, could it be? Like, could that really be Pitbull? But I think it just fits perfectly. FIU, we're in the 305, Mr. 305. I've gotten all sorts of texts and calls from people like, do you play in Pitbull Stadium? Like, is that your school that has Pitbull Stadium? So that was really cool news to hear about because I'm a big Pitbull fan. So
there you go. So just looking into this season, you guys already got it going a little bit. Just talk to us about what the expectations were going into the season, how you think the season's gone so far, and what's been the message from Coach Garber.
Yeah, so each year we've kind of had a different goal. So the first year or 2 was rebuilding. Last year it was starting to get results. And then this year now the next step for us as a program is a championship. Each year we've been able to achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves. So now this year we want to take it that one step further, and we want to not only qualify for the conference tournament, but we want to compete for a conference championship and as well as just a regular league championship. So that's been a lot of the messaging from Coach Garber. But of course, we're still in non-conference play. We haven't even reached conference play yet. So
Right.
The messaging from game to game has just been to go 1-0 every single time we play, taking it one game at a time, no matter if we're playing a high-level opponent, maybe an opponent that we beat in the past. Like it doesn't matter. We want to go 1-0 every single game. And obviously, we haven't gone 1-0 every single game this
Right.
season, but apart from just getting the results, we also want to focus on our performance that leads into those results. So maybe a game like Miami, for example, that we just played yesterday, we didn't get the result, but because we won our battles against them, because we were moving the ball well, we created good chances. It wasn't a performance that he was unhappy with or that any of us were unhappy with because we played well, we competed, but at the end of the day, the result didn't go our way. So that's also kind of the mentality we want to keep is we're not going to be able to win every single game. No D1 soccer team goes undefeated from start to finish, but making sure that we're putting our best performances forward, which puts us in the best, situation to be able to get a result.
What was your reaction when the schedule first came out, seeing you and the team having to begin the season on a 6-game road trip, not to mention a trip out to the Midwest and Tornado Alley in Norman? Ultimately, I think it's gone relatively well for the team, a 3-3 record up to this point. But what was your initial gut reaction to, man, we're going to begin this season on a long road trip?
Yeah, I kinda saw it coming because we were pretty lucky last season with, a lot of home games. Pretty much all of our Florida, opponents came and played us, so this year, we're probably gonna have to go and play them, but I'm not a huge fan of traveling, honestly, so when I saw that long, span of road trip games, I was like, oh no, I might have to get my Dramamine for all the travel." But, honestly, even though we were on the road a lot, I agree that it went very well for us. The travel to Norman took me pretty close to home, but I think the team navigated it really well. We've been traveling well. We handled it very professionally, took care of business on some of those trips, especially opening the season with FGCU.
Yeah.
I think that was the hardest opening game we've had so far, at least since I've been here. So all things considered, I think we've handled it very well. You got to travel sometimes, and we got results where we could.
On that topic, obviously, there's only been 6 real matches played so far this season, but which match so far would you say has been the best example of how great this team can be when everything is clicking for you? Obviously, you have that opener against FGCU, but you shut down FAU, which was lovely to see. Then you shut down Jacksonville only a few days later. So, yeah.
I would definitely say the performance that kind of reflects us the most as a program would be the FAU performance. Even though, we were up 1-0 for most of the game, got that second goal pretty late in the game, just the way we were able to execute our standards as a program, winning our 1v1 battles, moving the ball well, maintaining possession, but not just keeping the ball, building the ball up and getting into their attacking third. We scored that first goal off of the high press, which is something we really like to focus on as a program. So I would say definitely the FAU game. We had all cylinders firing that game. We were winning our battles defensively. We looked dangerous in the final third, and even their coach afterwards gave us props. He was like, you guys played very well. So definitely holding on to that one going forward.
There we go.
Anytime an FIU team beats FAU, regardless of the sport, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling. Obviously, it takes a team to be special, and there are a lot of playmakers for FIU so far this season. Who would you say have been some of the more underrated players on the squad that you think deserve some limelight?
I would say one of them for sure would be Deborah Bianaime. She's kind of been back and forth with her playing time in previous years, but this year coming into preseason, she's just been on go. I even had the opportunity to play with her a bit this summer, and she had a very solid summer leading into our preseason, and so far she's been a very big presence for us. Starting out in the back line, and then she moved to kind of that holding midfielder, and she's been a beast. Nobody's getting past Debbie. That's what we always say. And then another player that I would say is having a really, really breakout season would be Valerie, our goalkeeper. She's a freshman. She joined us in the spring, so she did get some training with us, but this is her first competitive season with us, and every single game she's just come up with big like game-saving saves. So that's been really awesome to see from her because she's saved us multiple times, and I'm sure she'll continue to do it throughout the rest of the season.
Alrighty then, as we start to close up shop here, again, thanks for spending some time with us, Reagan. Let's get into some fun rapid fire questions to close things out here. Kevin, start us off.
Yeah, well, we got to know. I mean, who's the funniest player on the women's soccer team?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I'm not allowed to say myself, am I?
If you want,
if you want to,
confident enough.
No, I don't actually think it's me. Don't worry. I don't know, because whoever I say, I feel like it's gonna give them a little bit of a big head. So, I would probably say Braylon. She's got some sneaky comments. She's not always the loudest person, but she's got those looks and those little sneaky remarks that kind of catch you off guard. But she's funny. She's got me laughing a lot.
There we go. So who are you giving the aux cord and who are you not giving the aux cord to?
Ooh. I would say I would give the aux cord to Odie.
Okay.
Yeah, I like her music taste. Who am I not giving the aux cord to is Coach Garber.
Oh no.
Absolutely not. He's been on aux before. Sometimes he's on aux at practice. Yeah, no.
What's on the playlist?
Well, yeah, we need to know.
Yeah.
What's on his playlist?
Yeah,
What's on the playlist? He's all over the place. Sometimes he gets some good songs in there. Sometimes I know he's a big fan of the song "Rich Baby Daddy," Drake and Sexy Red, but he also, he gets some of the, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like the dark, like kind of emo music.
Oh.
Sometimes that'll come on at practice, and it's kind of like, huh.
What's your playlist looking like? You mentioned Pitbull at the top, but what else do you have going?
I think it kind of depends on my mood. I'm a big like Brent Faiyaz, Drake, Tory Lanez fan, but I've also, gotta respect the country Colorado roots. So I'm also
Okay.
a big fan of country music, Zach Bryan, which is probably a little cliche, but yeah, depends on the day.
Okay. Where is the favorite place on campus to grab some food?
For me, I would probably have to say Tropical Smoothie Cafe. I walk by it every single day going to and from the locker room. So I'm always like, I guess I'll stop.
That's a popular one among
Tropical Smoothie stays winning on whenever we interview athletes. Yep. Who is the GOAT of both men's and women's soccer?
Ooh. I think I have to say Messi. He's just his accomplishments.
Yeah.
Can't argue with him.
Who's the greatest women's soccer player of all time?
Ooh, that's also a tough question. I might have to go with like the Abby Wambach, like Mia Hamm era with the U.S. Women's National Team. I think they're very, very decorated, very dominant.
Yeah.
So FIU has some fire uniforms right now. They debuted the Vice ones before the season began. What's the best uniform that this team is rocking? No shame if it's the Vice, but interested to see what else you might have to say.
I think I'm gonna have to go with the Vice. Maybe because they're new, but we've gotten some good results in those Vice uniforms too. So I think they've got a little bit of luck to them.
There we go. We ask this to every athlete. Who do you think should be the next women's soccer player we bring onto this podcast?
Ooh, that's a good question. If you want some jokes, I would definitely say Braylon. She's funny. I think she would give you guys a good time. I also think if you bring one of the Rap twins on, I think they would also be really funny. They're very talkative, so I'm sure they're gonna have plenty to say, especially if you ask them about who you think the best men's or women's players of all time. That'll be a 30-minute podcast for you right there.
Oh man. All right, Reagan. Again, thanks so much for spending some time with us today. We always ask this to the athletes and coaches we have on the show. If you have anything you'd like to say to the fans, to FIU, to anyone else, the floor is now yours.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess I would just have to say you guys have to pop out to our home opener this upcoming Saturday. I think it's September 7th. Women's soccer home opener. It's gonna be a great game.
All righty then. And again, as a reminder, Saturday is a busy day for FIU athletics, but you have to start at 10 a.m. and pack Leyva Family Field as FIU women's soccer takes on Southeastern Louisiana. They'll then stay at home for next Thursday as they take on Southeast Missouri State. And of course, also on Saturday at 6 o'clock, FIU in Central Michigan. Kevin and I will preview that. That'll drop on Friday, of course. Reagan, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All righty. For Kevin and myself, for Johnny who couldn't make it, we'll see you guys next time. And Paws up.
Paws up.
Paws up.